Imagine tomorrow morning you wake up and the internet no longer exists. Not Google, not YouTube, not Instagram, not TikTok, not ChatGPT. The internet. Everything simply stops. Your messages never arrive. Your online payment never goes through. Your navigation cannot find a route. Your favorite website never loads. Within minutes, banks begin losing connections. Airlines begin delaying flights. Hospitals struggle to exchange information. Businesses stop communicating. Entire supply chains begin slowing down. Modern life quietly begins to fall apart. Not because electricity disappeared, not because computers stopped working, but because one invisible system stopped connecting them all. Yet despite depending on it every single day, most people never ask what the internet actually is. Ask someone, what is the internet? Most people will answer, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or perhaps ChatGPT. But none of them are the internet. They are simply what lives on it. The internet itself is something very different, something much larger, much older, and far more important. Because everything you see on your screen is only the visible layer of an invisible architecture quietly connecting our modern civilization. And just like every great civilization before it, the most important part is the part most people never see. Today, we're going beneath the surface, not to explore websites, but to explore the system that makes every website possible. Because once you understand what the internet really is, you'll realize you've been looking at it the wrong way all along.
Ask 10 people, what is the internet? You'll probably hear the same answers. Google, YouTube, Netflix, Instagram, TikTok, ChatGPT. It sounds reasonable. After all, that's what we interact with every day. But those things are not the internet. They simply exist because the internet exists. Imagine walking through a modern city. You see office buildings, restaurants, apartments, hospitals, shopping malls. From the outside, it feels like those buildings are the city, but they aren't. Remove every road, and people can no longer move. Remove electricity, and the buildings become dark. Remove clean water, and daily life begins to collapse. The buildings remain, but the system does not. Because every city depends on infrastructure. Infrastructure most people never think about until it disappears. The internet follows the same principle. The websites you visit are not the internet. The applications on your phone are not the internet. Even artificial intelligence is not the internet. They are simply built on top of it. Which raises an interesting question. If websites aren't the internet, then what is? The answer is surprisingly simple. The internet is not a place. It is not a company. It is not a product. The internet is a network. Not one computer, but millions. Not one connection, but billions. All communicating. All following the same language. All working together, as though they were one enormous machine. You cannot hold it. You cannot see it. Yet every second, it quietly connects almost everything around you. And once you begin seeing the internet as a network, instead of a website, everything else starts to make sense.
But a network is only an idea. How does that idea become reality? How can billions of devices spread across continents find each other almost instantly? The answer begins with a single request. One click, one destination, and a journey that most people never see. Every time you open a website, something begins, not on your screen, but beneath it. A single request, quiet, invisible, almost impossible to notice. Yet that tiny request starts a journey. Imagine standing in the middle of a city. You write an address on an envelope. You don't deliver it yourself. You simply hand it over, trusting the system to find the destination. The internet works in much the same way. Every search, every message, every video begins with a destination. Not because your device already knows where to go, but because it knows how to ask. That simple question triggers an invisible conversation. One system asks another, looking for the fastest path, the most reliable route, the correct destination. All of it happens before the first image appears, before the first word loads, before you even realize anything has happened. Most people believe a website appears because they clicked on it. Architects know the click was only the beginning. Long before a page reaches your screen, thousands of tiny decisions have already been made. Where should this request go? Which path should it take? Which machine should answer? How can it arrive as quickly as possible? Every second, billions of these invisible conversations take place around the world without traffic lights, without human intervention, without anyone directing the flow. And somehow, they almost never collide. That isn't luck. It is architecture, carefully designed, constantly improving, quietly connecting billions of people every single moment. The remarkable part is that you never have to think about it. You simply tap, and the system does the rest.
But every journey needs a road. If every request travels, where exactly does it travel? Through the air? Through satellites? Or through something far more surprising? To answer that, we have to leave our screens behind and follow the physical path of the modern internet. Close your eyes and imagine the internet. What do you see? Most people imagine something invisible, floating through the air, carried by satellites, existing somewhere inside the cloud. It feels natural because we never see it. But almost every part of that picture is wrong. The internet is surprisingly physical. Every search travels through a cable. Every message passes through real machines. Every video moves across real infrastructure. Nothing simply appears. Nothing travels by magic. Behind every digital experience exists a physical world, a world built from glass, steel, concrete, electricity, and millions of kilometers of fiber optic cable. These cables run beneath our streets, across mountains, through deserts, and deep beneath the oceans, quietly connecting continents 24 hours a day. Long before wireless technology existed, the internet was already moving through cables, and even today, most of it still does. Your phone may connect wirelessly. Your laptop may never touch a cable, but only for the first few meters. After that, almost everything enters the same physical network, hidden beneath the surface, moving at extraordinary speed, across infrastructure, most people never notice. The cloud isn't floating in the sky. It lives inside buildings. Email doesn't exist in the air. It exists on computers. Streaming doesn't happen in empty space. It happens through machines. Modern technology feels weightless, but beneath that illusion is one of the largest engineering projects humanity has ever built. Thousands of facilities, millions of servers, millions of kilometers of cable working together every second without asking for recognition, because the greatest infrastructure is often the one nobody notices.
But cables alone cannot create the internet. A road means nothing without destinations. So once your data enters this enormous network, how does it know exactly where to go? And why does it almost always arrive in less than a second? That answer begins with one of the most important systems most people have never heard of. Imagine someone asks you to visit a friend. They tell you the name, but not the address. The name is familiar. The destination is not. Before you can begin the journey, you need one simple thing: an address. The internet works in much the same way. When you type a website, your device doesn't begin with a location. It begins with a name. A name designed for humans. Because remembering names is easy. Remembering numbers is not. Somewhere, quietly, a system translates that name into a destination. Only then can the journey truly begin. Notice something important. Your request isn't looking for a website. It is looking for a computer, a real machine, located somewhere in the physical world, perhaps across your city, perhaps across your country, or perhaps on the other side of the planet. Once the destination is known, another decision must be made. Not, where should we go, but what's the best way to get there? Just like roads, the internet has many possible routes. Some are shorter, some are faster, some become congested, others remain open. Every moment, the network quietly evaluates those possibilities, choosing paths, avoiding problems, adapting to change. Again, again, and again. Most people believe the internet is one giant connection. Architects know it is millions of independent networks working together. No single company controls every path. No single machine controls every journey. Instead, countless systems cooperate, constantly exchanging information, constantly finding better routes, constantly keeping the world connected. The remarkable part is that this process never stops. Even while you sleep, even while you travel, even while billions of people are using the internet at exactly the same moment. But even this is only part of the story, because knowing the destination is not enough. Someone still has to answer. Someone still has to store the information. Someone still has to deliver it back to you. And hidden inside buildings, all around the world, are the machines making that possible. Every request eventually reaches a destination, not an application, not a website, but a machine, a computer, waiting to respond. Inside enormous buildings, thousands of these machines work together, day and night, without pause, without sleep, quietly storing information, processing requests, sending answers, again and again and again. The video you watch comes from them. The message you receive passes through them. The files you save remain inside them.
even artificial intelligence depends on them. Most people never see these buildings. They don't need to. Just as most people never visit a power station, yet depend on electricity every day. The internet has become something similar, not simply a technology, but infrastructure. Infrastructure supporting almost every part of modern civilization. Banking, healthcare, education, transportation, manufacturing, science, communication, government, entertainment, artificial intelligence. Different industries, different purposes, one shared foundation. And perhaps that is the most remarkable part. The internet was never built to become the center of modern life. It simply became so useful that everything else chose to build upon it. Layer after layer after layer, until one invisible network quietly became the foundation of an interconnected world.
Most people see applications, platforms, websites. Architects see infrastructure, because every digital experience begins long before the screen lights up. It begins with a system, one that almost nobody sees, yet almost everybody depends on.
Most people use the internet. Architects study the systems behind it, because the internet was never just a collection of websites. It was never just social media. It was never just the cloud. The internet is infrastructure, invisible, distributed, always moving, always connecting, quietly supporting the digital civilization we now call normal. And once you begin seeing it that way, you stop asking, what website am I using? You begin asking, what system makes this possible? That single question changes everything. Because understanding technology doesn't begin with applications, it begins with architecture. This is NextNet, inside the modern internet.